Hello, I'm Dylan.
And I'm Keon.
And I'm Steven.
And this is Trust Your Doctor, that podcast where we fight like animals and then die like animals, because this week we watched Survival.
Written by Rona Munro.
Directed by Alan Waring.
And aired from November 22nd to December 6th, 1989.
Yeah, in true Doctor Who fashion, as soon as this ends and we go on our hiatus, we're just going to die.
Like, just none of us will survive this episode.
I know, we all somehow mysteriously die mid-recording.
Yeah, we'll just slowly start dropping out and then...
Yeah, like it's a horror movie, one after the other. Who will be the first to go? Well, I think we actually... Did we neglect to mention last week that Steven was going to be joining us for this episode?
No. We did mention it. And,
we did?
You know,
Okay.
tying into the conversation we had before we started the recording, where Keon's like, I can barely even remember what we talk about week to week sometimes. We did mention that Steven was going to be here. I remember specifically making a point of it, and I remember again, because I just edited this episode yesterday, that we did mention that, so it's not a surprise to anyone except us.
Except me. Except me not remembering that I said that.
Yeah, we didn't tell Keon Steven was going to be on. We just... Anyway, welcome, Steven, to the Thunderdome.
Yes, it's been a while since we last talked.
I was thinking about this before we started. It's been a while since we've even had a guest period on Trust Your Doctor. I think it was like before Torchwood even.
I mean, I was a guest on a couple of your Torchwood episodes, and I think Sergeant Drano was as well for like one of them.
Well, actually, I think you're right. I think in season 1 we had a couple guests, and maybe season 2.
Yeah, I was on a season 2 one and a season 1 one.
Just throwing back to the not even remembering week to week what the hell goes on this show.
Yes, the inconsistency is the consistency.
Surprisingly, I do remember. I think last time you joined us, Steven, was that PJ Hammond episode with the old-timey theater. I forget what that one was called.
Yeah, the Electro.
Oh, yeah. That episode was great.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Much like Survival. Survival was fantastic. I loved this story the first time, and my estimation of it has only risen now that I've watched it again.
I think my overall opinion on the story didn't change. I still think it's great. I just don't think that my opinion of it went up. It's kind of, I don't know, I guess it's hard for something that I think is great to go up and be like, yeah, that's even more great than I thought it was.
Maybe that's because we just watched Time Lash. Whereas,
yeah, I mean,
season 26 is strong. Like, it's a good season. Yeah, got a little Battlefield, got a little, shoot, what?
Was Ghostlight 26?
I was going to say Ghostlight, but I can't remember now. Yes, it was.
Yeah, it was. It was Battlefield, Ghostlight, Curse of Fenric, and Survival. I mean, that was just 4 bangers in a row.
Yeah, before the show fizzled out and died.
Before the show just died.
Just really,
Yeah, I mean, I remember thinking Survival was fine when I first watched it, and, watching it again, a few weeks ago or whenever, with friends from Sussex Doctor Who Society, I still thought the serial was fine. I don't rate it as highly as maybe you guys do, but the communal experience of watching it with people was fun.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, you texted us about that a day or two ago, and so what would you say made it better watching it with other people than just watching it, by yourself? What was it that was particular to Survival that made that a better way to experience it, would you say?
I mean, basically just the in-jokes. We would reference... We have, these recurring jokes where, if there's something that doesn't make sense or feels like a continuity error, we'd be like, Chris Chibnall's ruining Doctor Who again, and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Surprisingly, this week's serial doesn't just blatantly overwrite previous canon like most of our revisit serials have been doing. At least none that I noticed.
I was going to try and weave one in, but yeah, thanks for just dashing all my hopes and dreams in like 5 seconds flat.
I mean, you could have still just been like, no, you're wrong, Dylan. I mean, you really could have just been like, you're wrong, Dylan. Actually, don't you remember XYZ moment where you were going to weave it in? And I would have been like, right. But, such is the nature of live podcasting.
Yeah. Real unfortunate.
But I mean... But I mean, as Eccleston has said, we should just blow up canon in that article that you can link again.
Damn it. Gotta link that every goddamn week. In fact, I didn't actually link it in the Time Lash episode. I got so sick of it, I didn't even link it.
I put it in after the fact.
Should just make a staple.
Great.
Yeah, Dylan is finally now, like I notice, drifting into the territory that I also drifted into, where it's like, yeah, the first 20 minutes of the show notes have like quite a bit, and so do the last like 10 minutes, and then it's a little more barren in the middle, It's a little more barren.
It's difficult to actually come up with things to put into the show notes in the middle of the show, I've realized, because there's like not so many oblique references to things I can link.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we ever even mentioned that I kind of took over the duties of writing an initial draft of the show notes. I don't know. It's been like 3 months now.
That. Yeah. Because I was doing a crappy job.
Because it used to be only Keon. Well, you were just busy. It used to be only Keon. Now I usually write the first draft and Keon revises it and then adds anything that I missed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, real collaborative effort.
We probably should have mentioned that because I write a lot of the show notes in first person.
So do I. I write them in first person too, and I don't change your first person ones when I do that. So it's like just both of us.
That's not confusing.
Yeah, so like it was just fun because like we would also joke about how like the telephone booth is like a subtle Bill and Ted crossover, which I mean the first Bill and Ted movie came out like the same year as Survival, weirdly enough, and it even aired like after Thundercats ended, so wild.
Yeah, I mean, it's 1989, almost into 1990. Doctor Who almost made it from the 60s to the 90s continuously, not taking a year off, I believe. Or did they take a year?
There was that weird hiatus year between seasons 22 and 23, I think it was, right before the Trial of a Time Lord season.
I think it was between 22 and 23, yeah.
Yeah, so other than that, though, it had pretty much just been going continuously.
And I think that wasn't even like a full... That was like... It was like a modern Doctor Who gap where it was like season 22 aired in like the early January months of the year, and then season 23 was like August of 86. So technically there were still sequential years, but it was like longer than a year gap. If I remember correctly.
Yeah, and I mean, in previous episodes, we talked about this already, but it's just like, yeah, you could tell, like, once you get into the 80s era, you can tell, like, Doctor Who is kind of just, I don't know, floundering, just treading water, trying to keep its head above, trying to keep afloat, I guess, but it's just like, I don't know, this last season and this last story just kind of sucker punch you with, like, remember how good it could have been, or, like, remember how good it, like, it was, or just like, this is what it can be, and now it's over.
Just exterminate.
Yeah, it got exterminated, brought back, obviously. And it's weird that, like, it's weird to be in this era where it's like Doctor Who has now also been continuously running for like 16 years.
Yeah, I was thinking about that while watching this, where I was trying to imagine, like, how would you do a story like this in the modern era? Because this story, I feel like, is such a good, unintentionally, a good conclusion to the classic run of episodes, because it ends on kind of an optimistic, hopeful note where, like, yeah, if 2 years, 3 years later they realized what a horrible mistake they'd made, they could bring it back. But also, like, if it was just the end of the show, it was completely satisfying. And I feel like the show has become such a cultural touchstone now that would be really, really difficult to do.
There's like Survival is completely unique in all of Doctor Who, and if there were going to be something like this in modern Who, where it eventually, which obviously eventually will come to an end, it won't just keep going until like
it's devastating.
The human race dies out. But it's like it's not going to end like this. It's going to end with a bang. It's going to end with just this bombastic, I don't know, overblown thing. Most likely, it won't just end on a note like Survival, and in a way that's kind of sad.
Or it could just end on a lackluster note, get canceled, and then Big Finish will have to finish it with a bang.
I mean, this is a very low-key episode, Keon. So, like, the stakes are pretty low in this episode, actually. Like,
not for the Cheetah Planet. Like, they're...
But they were doomed before the Doctor even showed up.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one reason why I like it so much. It's down to earth, it's low key, and it's like the dilemma is almost this existential thing, right? Where if they fight like they drive it home pretty hard, but it's like, yeah, you get it. If they fight like animals, they die like animals.
I think you mean, if you fight like animals, we'll die like animals.
It's one of the funniest lines in classic Who.
It's because Sylvester McCoy has this way of delivery. He has this way, I guess, with words and yelling.
He is such a unique actor. I mean, he really does have such a delivery of everything that's just so entertaining.
I didn't hold this opinion until this rewatch, but I almost wish he was the Doctor for longer. Like, just cut a little bit out of a little bit out of Peter Davison's era, and
just
give
carve
it to
out a few
McCoy.
Seasons there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's lots of Big Finish, and there's even like an adaptation of a novel called Love and War, where like at the end of it, Ace like gives him the reason he sucks speech, and it's so satisfying to hear because of how manipulative he's been. It's just great.
Yeah, just rewatching Survival doesn't really give you a window into like the corrupt soul of the Seventh Doctor. But yeah, he was a massive trickster. To put it
like, I remember seeing a Reddit thread where someone was like, is the Seventh Doctor really that manipulative? And one of the comments was, if you really looked into it, you would find out that the Seventh Doctor manipulated you into making this Reddit post.
Look, I'll still die on the hill that the 11th Doctor was a more manipulative and darker Doctor than the 7th Doctor ever dreamed of being in the television on-screen appearances. I can't speak for, obviously, the Big Finish stories.
Yeah, I agree with that, I guess. I mean, helps that, like, I don't really have much love for the 11th Doctor or his era, but relatively speaking.
Yeah, just makes it easier for you to believe my I was going to say lies, but then that would be undermining my own point.
I mean, he was my favorite in New Who until Capaldi came along. So,
and then he was your favorite until Whittaker came along, and then she was your favorite.
Just a never-ending cycle.
No, I actually still prefer Smith and Capaldi over Whittaker, but I prefer Whittaker over Tennant and Eccleston.
I feel like that's actually a unique opinion. I don't think a lot of people hold that opinion, that ranking anyway.
Yeah, probably.
I know how I would personally rank the New Who Doctors. I know Whittaker would be number one, but yeah, I haven't really thought about the other ones, and probably Eccleston, or I don't know. I wanted to say Eccleston number two for a second, but yeah, I don't know.
Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes, that reference to something.
Obviously, the curator is the number one reboot Doctor. Don't at me.
I I mean, weirdly, I've heard that he's been featured in these Eighth Doctor box sets called Stranded.
Yeah, of course he would.
Yeah,
be.
he's in the. Not only that, actually, you're like missing the best part, which is that he's going to be in the next Unit box set, and he's going to interact with units.
And I mean, Eccleston made his return in Ravagers, which was pretty cool.
Really tapping this well for all it's worth.
No, they reached the bottom of the well when they made the Lady Christina spin-off audios, which you might be sitting at home going, well, who's Lady Christina? Remember Planet of the Dead, that completely forgettable 10th Doctor special with the bus that crash lands on through a time vortex on a desert planet? Yeah, Lady Christina was like the surrogate companion for that episode.
Yeah, I remember her, surprisingly enough. I remember exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I do remember that special. So I guess it's not completely forgettable.
Season 2 of her spin-off is coming out soon. Just want to throw that out there. Season 2. So Survival.
Yeah, wacky Survival.
I really did forget like how wacky this serial is.
You mean to tell me you forgot about the Kitlings, the dimension hopping cats,
the cheetah people
that were just thrown into this story? Nice little bit of extra flavor there. Didn't really matter, but
I really like to imagine that the time-hopping cheetahs are what really convinced Stephen Moffat that Rona Munro was the classic writer he wanted to bring back for the Peter Capaldi era.
Yeah, and we're joking about it, but like it all works. It all comes together. It all coalesces and gels together really nicely. Just congeals into a nice slippery hole.
Wow, I hate that. I mean, it works because everybody in the serial is taking them dead seriously, and they never play a single second of it for laughs, even though it's like it is such a laughable concept, and it can so easily be the butt of the joke, but they never once make it that in the story, and that's, in my opinion, that's why it works.
Yeah, I agree. Camp like could have ruined Survival in a heartbeat. Like, yeah.
There is some mild camp, namely the Doctor like looking at a poster for Cats the musical, and you just sitting there in the audience going, really? Set designer, really?
Yeah, but even that is like, it's played straight, so it works. I don't know.
Because the Doctor doesn't even point it out. It's one of those things that's just like, if you know, you know.
Yeah. If you know about this musical called Cats and a story that's about cats, then you know.
I mean, at that point when it shows up, the cats haven't. I mean, the directing, the cinematography is really making it out like the cats are going to be important, but like you don't know that the cats are the main plot point of the story.
Yeah, you can guess. It's like there's a lot of focus on the cats. The whole thing about the lion anecdote.
Yeah, but nobody could predict the goddamn Kitlings showing up and being like time traveling cheetahs, space traveling cheetahs.
They really should have had a Mike Myers style Cat in the Hat in this.
God, that would be horrific.
Dr. Seuss.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Honestly, Cats the movie, the musical, would be 10 times better if they just all dressed up in the Kitling costumes from this story instead of the CGI monstrosity that appears in the actual movie.
Wait, okay, so let's be clear here. The Kitlings were the cat, like my understanding was that there were two.
Yeah, I think I'm referring to the cheetah people.
Yeah, so there's the Kitlings, which are the ones that are actually cats, and there's the cheetah people, which are people dressed up as cats. Not in the universe, but behind the scenes.
They might be dressed up in universe too. I mean, I don't know. The extent of the transformation we actually see people go through is like yellow eyes and spiky teeth, so the rest might just be putting on like a fursuit. I don't know.
Yeah, it is pretty ambiguous. And yeah, it is. I wasn't going to mention this, but since you bring it up, like, yeah, Dr. Classic Who ends with furries. Like, It does. There's no
There's
denying
the title
it.
of the episode.
Roll credits.
They said the word survival so many times in this story. Every time I was like, roll credits. So they kind of land in Ace's hometown.
Perryvale.
That was weird. That was weird.
Vale.
This is like the second time, or I guess this is like this whole season was kind of like exploring, or most of the season was exploring Ace's backstory, right? Because Ghostlight was like that house that she'd always seen. Curse of Fenric was like her trauma, exploring her trauma from childhood. This is going back to her hometown.
Mm-hmm. Battlefield had her blowing up the part of the school.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, this whole season was kind of exploring Ace's backstory more than any other companion ever got, except for Turlo, I guess, and Susan.
Yeah. And then it just ended. It just...
Well, that's because if you'll remember, Cartmel had that, not related to the master plan, but his companion plans for Ace were allegedly, to make her eventually, the end point of her character arc was going to be her accepting an invitation to Time Lord Academy on Gallifrey. And that's what Cartmel was trying to kind of build up to, which was her becoming more and more like the Doctor and then accepting that invitation.
Mm-hmm.
Allegedly. So I don't think Cartmel ever explicitly stated that was his intention. That's just kind of what people around him at the time kind of said was where they were going.
Mm-hmm. Now, I guess this is taking us to the episode still, but like, do you guys remember? Because I don't. There was like in one of these stories had something where it's like Ace was racist in the past, and like
I think that was Ghostlight.
Do you guys remember that?
That was Ghostlight.
What exactly was that? Because I can't remember all that well.
Wasn't it like she had a friend who they like called a nickname that was kind of racist?
It was something like that, I believe.
Actually, was that Ghostlight? That was this season.
I think it was Battlefield.
Might have been Battlefield.
I think it was Battlefield. I can't remember what that was all about, though.
I don't remember.
So, oh well, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the only nickname that I recall is that like someone in this episode is called Darth. And I mean, that's kind of a Star Wars reference, I guess, but I don't remember the context of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, it definitely wasn't in a part of Survival. It was just like... And I remember being surprised about its inclusion in Battlefield, but yeah, whatever. I mean, it's in Battlefield, so... Kind of suspect, but like, still, I guess it's just, yeah.
Yeah, I really don't remember. I'll see if I can remember that for the show notes. If I can find it again. I just went to the
Battlefield page on the TARDIS wiki and Control F racist and nickname, and neither one had anything, so I just gave up.
Nice. That's quality podcasting right there.
Anyway, as we were saying, they land. We haven't even gotten to the landing yet. I feel like this is like out of the pages of Tristram Shandy or something.
Oh, a reference.
Which is like the 1700s book about this guy telling his life story, and it takes him like 200 pages to get to his birth.
Wow.
Or something like that.
Well, they land and they stumble upon a self-defense class taught by Sergeant Patterson, whose life belief is that they should beat each other up.
It's survival of the fittest. Now, first you think this guy is like retired army or something like that, but then like later on, you find, I was a little unclear on this, but my understanding was later on you find out that he just like took a class. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I found it, actually. The thing you were talking about with Ace. Sorry for taking us back. The house of Ace's friend was firebombed by racists in 1983. That's in Ghostlight, is when that's revealed.
Oh, so it wasn't Ace.
It wasn't Ace. No, I think actually Ace was pretty anti-racist explicitly.
Okay, I guess we just totally misinterpreted that. Because you remember that, right? Like, we had this whole discussion of, like, wait, is Ace racist? Like,
Yeah, I think we just misinterpreted it.
wow.
Because so I just looked up racism on the TARDIS wiki, and the previous line is like a sign hanging in the window of Mrs. Smith's boarding house read "No coloreds," which Ace was visibly disturbed by, so she took it down and hid it. And that was in remembrance of the Daleks.
Yeah, so we were just totally wrong and got the exact opposite impression.
Hell yeah. Hey, that's Ace.
Ace. Okay.
Grace.
So Sergeant Patterson's teaching this class. This reminded me of a movie. So this, in the moment, I was like, okay, this reminds me of this movie, The Art of Self-Defense. And then I watched episode 2 and I'm like, damn, I wish I could remember what movie I said this reminded me of. And now it just immediately came back to me right this minute as we were talking about it. Reminds me of this movie, The Art of Self-Defense, which is a movie where a guy takes karate to learn self-defense, and the teacher's like really kind of overbearing and like kind of ruthless, kind of exactly like Sergeant Patterson in the scene. I'm not going to say anything more about the movie because it takes a lot of wild twists and turns that's kind of just best experienced if you just watch the movie and go along with it.
All right. Maybe I'll watch it tonight. Who knows? But yeah, Sergeant Patterson is absolutely ruthless. He's like, you're just going to let him get up? Just kick him while he's down. Murder him. Murder him.
He's like, what are you going to do if it's a real thief? You're just going to let them go?
Justice once, everyone lives.
Yeah, you're just going to not murder people?
Okay, so like Ace, like around this time, she's like asking about like where a friend is, right? And doesn't know where to find them. Like, am I remembering correctly? Or?
Yeah, you are. So basically, you get it's sort of you get this by osmosis, basically. But like Ace can't find her friends; like they're all just sort of gone. And then there's the whole sequence where the doctor goes to buy cat food, which we can explain in a minute. But during that, Ace is talking to the one friend she can find, and she hears about the disappearances of the rest of her friends, which this friend she's talking to apparently has no, big concern over. She thinks it's a little suspicious.
Yeah, it's like they vanished, and unfortunately, they don't have any social media at this time.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe fortunately, I don't know.
We also completely skipped over the opening scene of the episode, which like when they land, which is actually hilarious because it's a guy washing his car and then he gets transported to the cheetah planet, and then in like a continuous shot, the TARDIS materializes. The Doctor walks past the now empty bucket, just rights it side up and just walks away. And it's like, wow, you literally just missed the guy vanishing 10 seconds ago. But anyway, so that kind of, the reason why I bring that up is because it provides context to Ace's friend here mentioning that like all of her friends have vanished. So immediately you're clued into the fact that like something is stealing people.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, the Doctor's buying some cat food. The Doctor's already clued into the fact that the cats are a little bit suspicious. So he goes to the store to buy cat food. These two guys are kind of quipping with each other, and they mention that whole like the two people getting chased by a lion dilemma. The one, I don't know where it originated, but like you don't have to be faster than the lion. You just have to be faster than the other guy, or trip the other guy. They don't say that part. Just inserted that as a little hint towards the inner workings of my mind, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think at some point there's a cat that has like sinister looking eyes, and it reminded me of the dog from the intro of the Goosebumps TV show.
Yeah, so a cat. Yeah, just a I'm kidding. Yeah. They all kind of have. All cats kind of have. You're right. Like it does. The cats do look very sinister, but it's like at the same time, like real world cats kind of do.
Yeah, but like this looked even more. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, you're right.
Goosebumps podcast when
I would gladly reread all the Goosebumps books.
I mean, he did say on an old episode that You said we should do a Goosebumps podcast.
Oh, jeez. Cancel Triple Play for a Goosebumps podcast.
I'd be down. Ace goes to a little park, and all of a sudden a furry on a horse shows up.
Well, the doctor's trying to get the cats to come out using some cat food. And he's kind of ignoring Ace, which is why she goes to this park and why the doctor's not with her when she goes.
Mm-hmm. Ace evades the horse a little bit. She gets into like a little, I don't know what you call it, just like a jungle gym type thing. She looks like she's safe in there, but then she decides that she can outrun a horse, so she decides to make a break for it.
I mean, she like also takes the most confusing route through this playground and like traps herself inside the like jungle gym, which like nice going, Ace.
Yeah, I thought she did that to like protect herself because like the horse obviously can't get in. And the
I kind of thought that too, but then like I don't know. Cheetah person can just get off the horse, right?
What if they were like centaurs, but cheetahs?
That'd actually be kind of awesome. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I have in my notes that at some point there's a POV shot that reminded me of Evil Dead, but I don't have the exact context written down. Curses.
Damn it. Coming unprepared to a podcast. It's okay.
Known for its unpreparedness.
Coming unprepared to a podcast that does it live every week.
Well, you know what, Dylan? Whenever I'm feeling unprepared, I like to just chill and like have the refreshing taste of the nice cheesy chips known as chips, which you can get at your local supermarket, and just enjoy the crunch and the like finger licking goodness of the cheese powder from the.
It'd be great if we were sponsored by Cheetos, but we're not, so I'm going to beep that whole thing out.
Imagine if there was like product placement for Cheetos in this episode. Done like Wayne's World style, where they draw attention to it and like smile into the camera.
Oh yeah, I've linked that in my show notes a couple times.
Keon's linked that in our show notes too, I'm sure of it. Damn.
But yeah, just that entire sequence of words that you strung together, Stephen, was absolutely, in my opinion, amazing. Just the cool, refreshing, crisp taste of
None of those words are any words I use to describe cheese.
Just a nice, clear your palate. Just a little spring
just
in your
throat
step.
clearing.
A bag of cheese. Are cheese even a thing in the UK? I mean, I wonder.
See, I was wondering that, but I didn't want to say it and sound ignorant, so I just didn't.
I honestly can't remember.
I would assume not.
I think they are now. Maybe they weren't in 1989. But I don't know.
They're basically, if they're still not now, and you're from the UK and listening to this, they're basically just like a brand of cheese puffs.
Yeah, the United Kingdom is listed as a market on the Cheetos Wikipedia page.
Okay, so we're just being condescending for no reason. Gotcha.
Well, that's exactly why I didn't want to mention it. But I'm glad you were the one who said the condescending line, so I'm completely free of blame here.
I said all of it, so yeah.
I mean, they have, I think, we had these in South Africa, but I assume they have them in the UK too. Much superior Cheeto-esque chips called Flings, and they're just great. They're like the greatest chips I've ever had. I'm gonna say it, and they're great. They're great. They're like Cheetos but better.
I mean, the off-brand Cheetos are better than Cheetos. Like, there's the store-brand, like, generic cheese puff things are, like, superior to freaking Cheetos, so.
I find that true of a lot of store brands. I picked up a store brand jar of pasta sauce the other day, and it tastes better than, like, any of the name brands I've tried. I'm like, nice, great. Yeah. And it's way cheaper. Anyway.
Who says trust your doctors, not educational?
Yeah, can't wait for the store brand version of Trust Your Doctor. That's just better in every way.
When are we...
Mom, can we have trust your doctor? You have trust your doctor at home. Trust your doctor at home.
We should start like a cooking with trust your doctor. Like, do it every once in a while.
I'm not even opposed. I'm not even opposed. I do a lot of baking, so I'm not opposed.
Yeah, just need to figure out the setup and we can start putting them on YouTube. On our channel full of Doctor Who podcasts, just have some cooking videos.
They could be videos where we talk about Doctor Who while we make things. Cooking with Trust Your Doctor.
We could make...
You know what?
You could be like, this pie is how I imagine Santarans taste like.
Yes. Yeah, we could make
like potatoes?
We could make all the foods we've talked about over the last 7 years, like stargaze pie, fish fingers, and custard.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
I can't cook to save my life, but I'd be down to do it.
We'll workshop it off. We'll workshop it off recording. So the doctor runs, he hears Ace cry for help. He runs over to the playground and instantly, right off the bat, his first assumption is, oh, she's been taken to another planet. Keep in mind, okay, that's like, you can kind of maybe be like, well, maybe he's seen like the Kitlings. He clearly hasn't seen the cheetah people yet. But no, actually, at this point in the story, all he's seen are cats acting really weird. So, like, he has no idea. Like, I guess he could have a theory, but yeah, his instant first guess is she's been taken to another planet.
Good guess.
The doctor sees, like, a black cat running away, so he tries to chase after it, only to be, like, taken down by Sergeant Patterson, who's like, we've had some complaints about you. And I'm like, from whom? Like, who cares?
Yeah, it's been there for like half an hour.
A future incarnation of the Doctor goes back in time to make the complaints to close the loop.
Everything's connected.
Mm-hmm. Well, meanwhile, Ace is on Cheetah World, and I think she sees someone get like taken down, right?
Yeah, she does actually, and that's how the episode ends.
Mm-hmm. And then, well, I think they all get transported, and then like you see the Master right at the end, like he's a little teaser right there.
Oh yeah, well then they're not even hiding it. So.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess we'll talk about this at the end when we talk about how these 3 episodes work as a trilogy. But I feel like these episodes do a great job of weaving into each other, and they have like actually good pacing. Like I never felt like the episodes were really slow, like some Classic Who stories end up being.
No, they're. I mean, it's unraveling multiple threads at once. It's not as straightforward as Classic Who tends to be a lot of the time. So they introduce the concepts at a nice pitch, I guess. You know, you think this may be going for one thing, and then like you find out about the slow death of the Cheetah World and all that stuff. So keeps you interested.
We also don't appreciate enough how they didn't try to drag this out to 4 episodes.
I thought they...
And just left it at 3.
I forgot that was the case, actually. I was surprised when I was like, oh yeah, this was just 3.
Me too. My very first note is, wow, I forgot this was only 3 episodes.
Yeah, I mean, when like getting ready to rewatch it, I went in thinking it was going to be 4 and then realized, oh, it's actually going to be 3.
Well, we all had the same realization.
Because there's so few 3-parters.
Yeah, you kind of like bank on it being 4 because just like statistically speaking, you'll be correct in that case.
You know, it's kind of funny. Like this is the last Classic Who story to feature the Master, and it's in 3 parts. And the next time you see him like in a TV show, like in New Who, is in a like 3-parter at the end of series 3.
Yeah, good point.
I mean, besides the weird interlude in the TV movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Classic Eric Roberts.
That's why I specifically said TV
Yeah, we don't talk about the TV movie here.
I mean,
why not? It's not even bad.
TV movie recently, and it's better than I remember it being. Like it's not great, but you can see its influence on New Who. Like even
maybe we should have revisited it for this Redux.
I mean, there's even a bit of music where it sounds really adventurous, and like the 7th Doctor's pressing buttons, and it reminds me of kind of the same feel as like the 11th Doctor's like adventurous theme.
Hmm.
Yeah, get a little Murray Gold-esque in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that movie is 25 years old now.
Yeah. Just going to throw it out there for all our older listeners that it came out the same year that me and Keon were born. Just going to throw that out there and leave it.
Are we older? I think I'm older than the TV movie because I was born towards
We
the
had
beginning
this discussion
of that year,
on that episode.
you think that was like 4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah,
I can't remember.
you're
It was
older
4
than
years
it, and
ago.
I'm younger than it because it was
Okay.
broadcast in May.
Yeah. I'm a year and a
gotcha.
half older than it, so
I was born into a world where the Doctor Who TV movie already existed. Born.
You say that like people are like, I was born into a post 9/11 world. It's like, I was born into a world where the Doctor Who TV movie had already graced
Born
people's
too late to
screens.
explore Earth. Born too early to explore the cosmos. Born at the right time to explore the Doctor Who TV movie.
Born at the right time to do a Doctor Who podcast for 7 years.
We really did get on, everybody and their mother has a Doctor Who podcast now, but we kind of did like get in on the ground floor when podcasts were still in their infancy, surprisingly.
Yeah, we snuck in. We
yeah, he stowed away on the TARDIS.
Oof. And never revealed ourselves.
Well, into episode 2, the Doctor and the Sergeant arrive on Cheetah World. This is when I first started appreciating the guitar-laden, sonorous joy that this story was dead set on delivering to its
Thanks
audience.
for weaving that
i.e.
word
us.
back into the podcast after weaving it in a couple months ago.
What?
Sonorous, yeah.
Having sonority.
No, I love the music in this. Maybe that's a hot take actually, but I love the music in this. I think it's great. I think it actually partially like makes the story because it really adds to the ambiance and the just the vibe that the story is giving off.
Yeah, a lot of this story is like, it feels very nostalgic. It feels very wistful. And a lot of it, I mean, it is. It's like, it's Ace searching for her, like, it's not explicitly in the story. This isn't, like, stated or anything. It's not really even in the story, but it's like, Ace is kind of, she's kind of looking, she's visiting Perivale, obviously. She's not back to stay, but it's like she's looking for a time that has passed her by, right? She's looking for her friends, and they're no longer there because they've been transported to a world of cheetahs, but still. And I don't know, I feel the soundtrack kind of captures that. I don't know, it captures that sort of like feeling of something's ending. It's not quite ended yet, but it's ending and it'll never be the same. Which is fittingly what exactly is happening in the course of in Doctor Who history. It's ending, it'll never be the same.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And I mean, on the nostalgia thing, like one of my friends was actually saying while like rewatching this that he kind of misses when that like Doctor Who being in like filmed like with actual film, I guess.
Except it wasn't. It was basically always recorded on videotape. Only that most of the special effects or on location work was ever done on film. The only story that was ever filmed entirely on film was Spearhead from Space, which is why they were able to do an upscaled Blu-ray release because they rescanned the original film negatives.
Okay, gotcha. So I guess maybe it's just the older look of it. I don't know.
And that's actually why, fun fact, that's actually why Doctor Who is like missing, is because they just recorded over the videotapes, because you can do that with videotapes. Because the BBC didn't have enough videotape in the 60s when they had no budget, so they just reused videotapes after recording a previous show on it and just recorded over it.
If only they had floppy disks back then.
Oh my God. But like on that same line, I kind of do miss, and I think Chris Chibnall brought us back there in series 11. Series 12, he kind of took us back to what the reboot has always been doing. But I kind of miss when Doctor Who was just kind of low-key, where it wasn't like every story was a global, imminent threat. And like the Stephen Moffat era especially felt like every other episode, or every episode that Stephen Moffat wrote, the stakes were like galaxy ending.
Yeah.
Right. Or like some of them would feel like blockbuster type of stories.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like back, like you're watching a Hollywood movie where like the fate of the world is at stake every single week.
Mm-hmm. And I kind of miss stories like Enlightenment, even. Yeah, sure, it's like the Eternals are going to get enlightenment, but like, what does that mean? Like, what are the stakes? The stakes are like, we want to win a boat race. Like,
and stop what's her face from killing people. Like
even this story's survival
race.
This story, the stakes are okay for the cheetah people. The planet's going to blow up, but it was heading that way before. Like, the stakes are really like, don't let Ace turn into a cheetah person and like get her friends back. That's it. Those are the stakes. And compare it to something like Praxius, which is a story that could have very easily been a very low stakes story, but then in the middle they're just like, and this virus is going to kill everyone in the world if we don't stop it. And you're like, wow, the scope of this story just took 5 leaps forward.
I do wish Doctor Who had more time spent like just wandering around like a town like they do in this, or like even in what was the one with the frog? It Takes You Away. Is that what it's called?
It Takes You Away, yeah.
Yeah. They're just that one had more of a horror vibe to it, but like they're just kind of wandering around that house. Like those.
Yeah, they're just trying to figure out what's going on.
Exactly.
Blink did this too. That's kind of why it's kind of great. Just people wandering around trying to figure out what's going on. Super low stakes story, really.
Yeah, very realistic and true to life. Just people wandering around trying to figure out what's going on.
My entire life.
Just 25 seasons of your life have been that.
Speaking of wandering around trying to figure out what's going on, the Doctor and Patterson are wandering around trying to figure out what's going on the cheetah planet after they escape from the cheetahs who are trying to kill Patterson.
Then I think they walk back into a cheetah camp for some reason. If I remember correctly. And the master reveals himself.
Then they get attacked.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The Doctor manages to make his escape, though, and I think does the Sergeant
with Patterson? He steals a horse.
Yeah, he steals a horse.
Yeah, he steals a horse.
Patterson gets on. We skip the entire part like Ace is reunited with her friends. They've been taken to Cheetah World 2. They've been there for a couple weeks, and they say that, like, I think they say as long as they stay in the woods, the cheetahs don't attack them, but when they go out in the open, they do.
Yeah. And there's an implication that this is because the cheetah people like to hunt, and if they're in the woods, it's kind of not really a hunt because you can just hide. They like to chase and run and take you down.
On horses, yeah.
Yeah, well, not all the cheetah people use horses.
Yeah, and like you were saying before, it is like a really weird concept. Like, you don't stop to think of it while you're watching, but it's like, in hindsight, it's like, yeah, they're cheetah people. Why are they on horses? Like, cheetahs are known for running themselves. Like, that's their defining trait. Like,
yeah, like it's even weirder than Planet of the Apes, because like the apes themselves are not viewed as like running creatures as much as like a horse or a cat related animal, you know. What
animal would you guys want this to be other than cheetahs, if you had to pick one other than cheetahs?
Whales.
The whale people.
I was gonna say
hesitation.
Narwhal. Narwhal.
I was going to say chambered nautilus, so I guess we all went with the aquatic theme there, huh?
I'd love to see a Doctor Who story with a primarily aquatic alien race, but anyway, who are not the Sea Devils.
You got the Ood. They look a little. They're not. But they look a little aquatic. They look a little aquatic.
I guess.
Some octopus face people.
Throwback to the revelation that the Ood cough up their brains when they're born.
Yeah, it was great.
Don't know how evolution picked that as a choice.
Survival of the fittest, baby.
Spitting out your brain. That makes you the fittest.
Survival of the barely adequate to survive.
Throwback to that tangent about the immortal jellyfish.
Hey, that jellyfish is great.
Tasty.
I aspire to be that jellyfish. Okay, that's interesting. It might be great tasting, actually. I don't know. I've never tasted it. Who am I to say?
What was that story? Wasn't it it was, God, I forget which one it was, but it was like these fish people, but they had to breathe through like these glowing green tube things.
Oh yeah, that was the doctor's daughter.
Yeah. What were they called? Like, they had like a...
I'm amazed that I remember that.
I don't remember what they were called. Oh well, doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, I rewatched that episode within the last couple months, and I don't remember what they were called.
Fantastic. The Hath. They're the Hath.
Oh yeah. Good thing we were able to hash that out.
So the doctor actually runs into Ace and her friends during his escape, only for them to be attacked by the cheetah people again.
He just doesn't. This is how he and Ace part ways. They just never find each other again.
Yes, the Tegan special.
Yeah.
You write out one.
But yeah, they encounter each other and they're trying to figure out what to do.
Yeah, at some point the master is shown with yellow eyes, and it was at this point in the rewatch I was like, oh yes, the master as Sith Lord confirmed, tying it back to the Darth thing in part 1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Star Wars takes place a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. So maybe Doctor Who just takes place in a slightly different time period. Maybe just like long ago, not like a long time ago. I don't know.
Exactly.
Even though Earth is in...
Also,
okay, whatever. I don't know.
Also, apparently, Anthony Ainley, Sylvester McCoy, and Sophie Aldred all have the same birthday.
Wow, that's really weird.
No.
I mean, different years, obviously, but same month and date.
The simulation is crashing.
Throughout, before this, a little before it actually, the Doctor explains two things. One, he explains the Kitlings, which is another race besides the cheetah people. The Kitlings are played by just normal cats, and they are pretty much just normal cats, except they can teleport to other planets. He also explains that Cheetah World is disintegrating, and has been for a while. It's on its last legs. It's very analogous to both what the classic show is in at this point, obviously about to end. It's also analogous to Ace's life, right? Where this is her going back to her hometown. Like, basically like we were talking about before, it's her going back to her hometown and finding that things have changed and she maybe doesn't have a place there anymore, you know?
Oh my god, wait. What if this whole thing is an allegory for like the infighting that was going on behind the scenes that like led to the downfall of Doctor Who? It's like, if we fight like animals, we'll die like animals. Oh my god. Like, the more we fight, the more the show collapses. Just like the cheetah planet, the more they fight, the more it gets closer to destruction. Oh my god, what if the whole thing is just an allegory for the downfall of Doctor Who?
Well, I mean, in a way, like, yeah, I mean, it is, like, the gist of this, not the gist, like, the gist, I guess, but it's literally in the story too, is like, I mean, the Doctor flat out says it, if we fight like animals, we die like animals, and that can definitely, you know, whether it was intentional or not, like, it can be applied to it, so, you know.
God, that adds a whole nother layer to this story I never even considered before.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
And maybe you'll never consider it again. No, just kidding.
Just toss that in the trash. Well, that was interesting, but here we go. Okay. Well, okay, so Ace finds a dying cheetah person. And this turns out to be Kara.
who keeps referring to Ace as her sister, and as we learn later, I think like actually is one of her friends, or was formerly.
I don't know.
Because we see her humanoid form later on.
There's a lot of ambiguity in this story that I didn't pick up on the first time. Like how the cheetah world, like, maybe this is just me, but I thought, like, is the cheetah world like Earth in the future? Like, is it like one possible future for Earth?
I always interpreted it, that's a really difficult word to say, as a completely different planet.
Yeah, and they say
Yeah,
they
same.
say it is a completely different planet explicitly, but like maybe they just don't know or don't realize. I don't know.
Well, the Doctor has, it seems like, previous knowledge about Cheetah World, so I would imagine if he knew that it was a future Earth, he would mention it. But it's also the Seventh Doctor, so like...
Yeah, I mean, it's weird that like he has previous knowledge of it, but it's never mentioned earlier in the quote-unquote canon of the show.
Oh, you're right, he must have gained that previous canon, or that previous knowledge off-screen, just completely contradicting on-screen canon.
Exactly.
Damn, you were right, Keon. Actually, you were right. There is a rewrite of canon
if
here.
If things happen off-screen, if characters have any backstory whatsoever, then it's contradictory to canon.
Yeah, the characters exist only in the span they're on screen for, and that's it.
It's like if I told you I went to the grocery store and you're like, no, you didn't, because like you didn't see me go there.
You didn't do it on the podcast. But yeah, Kara does survive this encounter.
But this other dying cheetah doesn't survive her encounter with Mitch.
Mainly because Sergeant Patterson is like, kill or be killed, and Mitch is instantly like bloodlust in his eyes. Did you say kill?
Yeah, he's taken Sergeant Patterson's teachings to heart, and taken what did he use? Was it like a giant claw or he took some spike to the cheetah's heart? Mm-hmm.
Kills him.
And then
this is, I think this is when it's introduced that fighting turns you into a cheetah person, or giving into your carnal desires of rage. I don't know.
Which Ace didn't seem to do, but maybe she had that desire inside of her. Since this is Ace we're talking about.
Maybe.
Well, they learn about like this advanced civilization that was on the cheetah world before from some ancient ruins. And this civilization no longer exists. I guess the gist or the implication is that they became the cheetah people.
Mm-hmm.
And the Master says that he's already transforming. The Master is showing them all this. He says that he's already transforming, which we kind of already guessed because of his eyes.
Right. And then the Master escapes, thanks to Mitch.
Yep. Oh, I think Ace's transformation starts because she goes hunting with Kara. I think that's what it was.
Yeah, and the cliffhanger to episode 2 is they're kind of going, well, we can only get home if one of us turns into a cheetah person and brings their hunt, their prey home. And they are like, well, who's it going to be? Who's going to be next? And surprise, surprise, it's Ace.
It is. It's a creepy shot. Like, you see her turn towards the group, which is turning towards the camera because of how it's shot. And, you see her glowing eyes.
So then into episode 3, we have to wrap everything up.
Fast as a cheetah.
So the Doctor here basically fully explains that the cheetah people who are native to the cheetah planet cannot go home. Home meaning to Perivale, because they were created on the cheetah planet, so their home is the cheetah planet. The cheetah people only have the ability to transport home,
Sucks to be them.
It's a little bit confusing.
To be them.
Wow.
So Ace goes hunting with Kara, and the doctor kind of realizes that Ace is changing and that the only way that he can save her is to get her to take them back home to Earth.
Yeah, but it's like, what? There was some risk if they did that. It was that she might... Oh, man, what was it?
She might go full cheetah person.
Like that. Yeah.
Basically.
But then I guess they do. They just do it, and they're fine for the time being.
Yeah, they arrive back in Perryvale. Ace thinks that everything's fine here, but it's not.
No, it's not. Mitch or Midge or whatever his name was and the Master have been wreaking havoc. They find a dead cat, so they literally just killed this little girl's cat, presumably.
Well, it's Midge's younger sister.
Oh, is that what it was? Gotcha.
Yeah, they go to Midge's house because they figure that's where he's going to go, and she says something like, my older brother killed the cat.
Mm-hmm.
That was... Like, I forgot, like, how dark it got here. Like, on the rewatch, I was like, wow, they, like, included that.
It does, and I think... And the setting is 100% part of that. Like, I mean, like we were saying before, why can't Doctor Who just have, like, more... Like, people going to, like, a person's house, like, in a town? And I mean, I know when they actually did that in the reboot, we got Fear Her, but still, like... The reason why it's so dark is because it's so down to earth, right? He kills someone's cat, and that's like, oh my god, you know, it's something that could, you know, there's no disconnect, there's no extra step, you know, between that and kind of something you might imagine being awful and happening in real life, type thing.
Right.
Yeah, I was really sad to see the dead cat, gonna be honest. I have a soft spot in my heart for cats and dogs. But yeah.
Same.
I don't, but it was still sad. I guess.
I have a note here that's like best child actor in Doctor Who history. This little girl, because she's like crying over her dead cat. And I'm like, damn, this girl is like giving an Oscar-worthy performance here for the 2 minutes of screen time she has.
Well, the Master and Midge show up at the self-defense course and basically take it over. I don't really know what their plan is here. Like, what's their goal? What are they trying to accomplish? But whatever. Was I the only one who didn't know?
I mean, it's just a gym battle like in Pokemon, right?
Oh my God. Yeah, challenge them to a Pokemon battle. They they do end up challenging each other to a motorcycle fight thing, a game of chicken, basically. And
yeah, they kind of pull. The Doctor pulls Ace off the motorbike. He's like, "You can't fight. You'll turn into a cheetah person." Literally pulling her off the bike, like not even metaphorical.
No. The next couple minutes are kind of a blur to me. A lot happens.
Well, they race at each other and blow up.
The Doctor appears to blow up, and Ace kind of gathers his remains, including his umbrella. Not like viscera strewn all over the place, like guts and stuff, but like his attire, his accessories, if you will.
Yeah, is this when he lands on the couch?
I think he gets transported back to the cheetah world for a minute.
Oh,
and he
okay.
goes, if we fight like animals, we'll die like animals. Cheetah world exists.
No, that's after the bike crash.
Yeah, I have in my
Steven's
notes
right.
that,
I think after the bike crash, he does land on the couch. It's not
Yeah.
until he finds the Master trying to pick the lock to the TARDIS that they get transported back to the cheetah planet.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, and I kind of wondered if this couch moment was possibly a tongue-in-cheek reference to like the whole Doctor Who thing of hiding behind the couch or whatever. Even though old Doctor Who wasn't really that scary, so like I don't get why people hid behind the couch.
It was a different time. I mean, we look back at the special effects and they weren't great or anything. They probably weren't great at the time either, but they weren't as, I don't know, just funny, I guess, as they are now, or something like that.
Right. I also have in my notes that this, like, the doctor in the couch is basically him committing the sin of sloth.
Yes, the 7 deadly sins of the 7th Doctor.
Yeah, and I also wrote down Sofa Aldred.
Oh my god.
Wow.
There's also a point where, like, a cheetah person asks the master, "Do you bleed?" And that made me, like, I felt disgusted hearing that because it reminded me of that cringy line in Batman versus Superman, but that's neither here nor there.
Wait, what was the line?
Do you bleed?
Oh, just do you bleed? Okay.
It's the, yeah,
like
I have that
Batman
note
says
too.
it to Superman.
I have that note too. Do you bleed? There are some funny lines in this story. There's one in the second episode where the doctor's explaining that the master is like his greatest enemy, and Ace is like, "Do you know any nice people?" And he goes, "No, just power crazy nutters trying to take over the galaxy." Or she says, like, "Anybody who's not a power crazy nutter trying to take over the galaxy." I don't remember exactly how the line's delivered.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just disregarding the entire history of the show, which clearly shows that the Doctor has met non-power crazy people.
Damn, these Trust Your Doctor memes are too intense every week. We're gonna ostracize ourselves from the rest of fandom.
I mean, this is why you're going on hiatus. You're just like
Just
lying
dropping
low.
all of these like revelations and then leaving. Irish goodbye.
Doctor Who 2018 to present only.
The only canon episodes of Doctor Who are An Unearthly Child, those 3 minutes of enlightenment where Turlough's considering taking the enlightenment, that moment where the 7th Doctor screams, if we fight like animals, we'll die like animals, and then like the Witchfinders, and that's it. That's the only canon Doctor Who.
Wow, I forgot the Witchfinders exists. Might be the
Happy
most
to remind
forgettable
you.
Jodie Whittaker episode. Despite the fact that it fleshed out Yaz a lot.
Oof, the only remaining companion. I mean, except for what's his name is going to be introduced.
And both the Witchfinders and Can You Hear Me, if I remember the name of that episode correctly, are integral to her character and are pretty forgettable.
Can You Hear Me was the one that like just randomly dropped a reference to really old Doctor Who. I think they referenced the Celestials or something in that, or like the Celestial Toy Maker. It's just something completely random.
Yeah,
the toy maker is mentioned in Can You Hear Me?
Just some completely random.
They also
classic
mentioned
reference.
the Black and White Guardians in there, I think, and maybe someone else. It's like
Great.
in one sentence. It's weird.
that was a wild story as well. They were in the ancient Middle East, and they went to that like space station outside those like dying planets, those warring planets, and
Again with the like massive stakes out of nowhere.
the massive like scale too. I mean, well, I guess Survival also has a pretty massive scale, but so whatever. Yeah, you're right though with the massive stakes.
Well, anyway, the Master's like, the cheetah virus overtook even me, a Time Lord Doctor. How do you think you can overtake it? The Doctor's like, what? And then they fight a little bit. The Doctor yells his famous line, reverse the polarity of the neutron flow. And then he transports back to Earth. Completely unexplained, I might add.
Yeah, I mean, that's Doctor Who in a nutshell, like doing things and not explaining all of it. Maybe that's why it got canceled after this serial. It just didn't spoon feed the audience enough.
I mean, like, my interpretation is that he had started enough of the cheetah transformation to gain the teleportation ability unknowingly and teleported back to Earth. And I think that's how I interpreted it the first time as well.
Yeah, cool. I have no interpretation. I just accepted it.
Yeah, me neither.
Thanks for saying that so condescendingly as well.
No problem. I didn't mean to, but sure, anytime.
Yeah, I just thought it was either something random that happened or maybe something happened that maybe gets explained elsewhere and I just don't know. So I don't know. But like there's even the question like Ace asks him where's the master and he's like who knows, and it's like yeah, that's pretty much Doctor Who in a nutshell. Like the master like leaves or disappears or whatever, but somehow he comes back.
Yeah, I was talking about this. I posted a joke about that on Twitter, and someone actually commented because I was talking about Delgado and how he always, in season 8, after the end of every episode, story rather, he appears to either die or be captured, and then he's just back inexplicably. And then this person, who is sort of a online friend who I talk to a lot online. Or not friend, just someone I know who I've interacted with a lot, but like was like, yeah, Ainley's master does that too.
Yeah, and I think like it's around this time that like a random neighbor comes up to them and like she's blonde haired, and it was at this moment that I joked, "Oh my gosh, it's Jackie Tyler from New Who."
Wow. Yeah, young Jackie. Wow, maybe.
Apparently, she does not appear in the novelization, and like the TARDIS wiki says, her role is taken by Mrs. Bates in the novelization.
I questioned why she appeared in the episode. I mean, I forgot that this was in the episode.
It was so weird.
It was so weird and baffling. It was like I thought for sure that this had to be some sort of cameo that people would have gotten, but apparently not.
No, it would have been amazing if like they had retconned it into being Jackie as like oh yeah, it's that character you last saw in the last Classic Who serial, and now here she is with her daughter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, she's going on about flipping cat fights and just who knows what, like literally not able to parse anything she's talking about, and she just storms off. The Doctor goes like, wow, that was weird. And he and Ace walk off into the sunset, except it's like 2 p.m., so
so it's really more like into the midday sun.
Yeah, he does like that classic speech that I'm sure lots of Whovians or hooligans or whatever you call yourself if you watch the Doctor Who-niverse like have memorized by heart.
Yeah, you know, what the did you just say about me? I'll have you know that I'll have you know that I graduated top of my class of Navy.
Wow, I haven't heard that in like 5 years. I'll have you know that I graduated top of my class at Time Lord Academy.
I have over 500 confirmed masters and Dalek kills.
No, he basically just tells her that there's worlds to save and things to do, but the tea's getting cold, so they should drink that before they do any of it, letting it all go to waste and letting the...
Well, that's not entirely correct, but close enough. And
like verbatim how Keon said it is how he said it.
My voice, my intonation.
Yeah, it was actually Keon all along.
I dubbed it over. They lost the audio, couldn't get McCoy in the studio. I had to step in like the hero I am.
I remember you also doing a McCoy accent, in the recording. Can you replicate that for us?
I don't do it on demand, It's a very in-demand aspect of my abilities, so I don't just do it for any willy-nilly purpose,
Don't do it, Keon.
Right, the end of a 7-year podcast.
Now I'm not demanding it, so you're able to do it.
The end of a 7-year podcast is not a unique time to do it.
No, but this isn't the end. We still have one more episode to go before we go on hiatus.
Yeah, so Steven won't know this because we announced it on our Time Lash episode, and by announced I mean like figured it out live like we always do. We're going to watch the Air Zone solution next week.
Oh, wow.
Then we're going on
Also, Doctor Who, or Classic Who rather, ended the same year that Quantum Leap began.
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
So that's Survival. The most
So that's
ironic
Survival.
episode of Doctor Who.
Well, again, it's like such a silly premise that they take dead seriously, and that's why it works. Because not at any moment does anybody make like a cat joke or like a joke like about cats wanting milk or like any of those low hanging fruit. They just treat it completely dead seriously that the cheetah people are like a major threat, which they are. You know, they basically kill anyone they come across. And it works. It works great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not afraid to just throw things in randomly, too. It's not afraid to be ambiguous. It's probably more ambiguous than Ghostlight, looking back.
In a way, I think they're ambiguous in different ways.
Ghostlight feels like you could probably piece it together somehow. This one is just like, what? You're just kind of along for the ride. Yet, I mean, it's somehow like, you know, you come out of this going like, I get it, you know? Like, you get it. I did at least. I don't know about you guys. But
Yeah, I got it.
I mean, overall, it feels to me like kind of a silly story for Classic Who to end on, which is just funny, or like just having that as the last one, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, and going on with like the themes of nostalgia and stuff, like I lament, like we were talking about before, I definitely lament that Doctor Who, Modern Who, is not going to end like this. It's not going to just fade away. I kind of want it to just fade away. But then again, getting what you want isn't always for the best, so.
Consequences can be rewritten as long as they're done well.
Including the end of Doctor Who. That can be rewritten as well as long as it's done well. And the TV movie was not up to the task. Even though personally I actually like it, but anyway.
Yeah, like I like the TV movie, but I feel like if it had gotten a TV series resulting from that and it was just like the TV movie, I think that would have been bad.
Maybe. We'll never know. You know, it's difficult to know where they would have gone with it after that, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, speculating on what ifs, who does that?
Sweating bullets.
Sweats nervously. Yeah.
Jordan Peele got gift.
I was about to say the same thing.
God, that's how we know we need to go on hiatus. We're like the same mind at this point.
Yeah, going on hiatus just to do inevitable. So it's not like we're even going to stop recording podcasts.
Yeah, I was trying to pretend like we were, but thanks.
Even though not any moment have we ever like said that we're just stopping all podcasts at once.
Yeah, Key and Dill.
Well, I don't have anything else to say about Survival. I don't know if you guys have anything else to say.
Nope.
It was fine.
Fine. Okay.
I mean, I don't regret rewatching it. Like, I enjoyed it somewhat, but yeah. Like, I've seen better, but I've also seen worse.
Yeah, there's way worse that Classic Who has to offer, as we have recently
Timelash.
Yeah. Well, anyway, there were a few actors in this. Some of them British, and some of them among the Britain's seemingly 10 actors.
Some of them cats.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some of them were cats. Real.
We have probably said or read the acting credits for over 100 different actors at this point.
Probably.
And we still refer to it as Britain's 10 actors.
Yeah, because we just can't stand being proven wrong.
Right. Well, I'm going to lead us off with Lisa Bowerman playing Kara. Lisa Bowerman, probably best known for playing Bernice Summerfield, the time-traveling archaeologist in the Big Finish audios, but who has also acted in other things like Casualty and MI5, Doctors, Wizard, Coronation Street, Graceless, McCallum, which for some reason the name is familiar to me, but I don't remember why.
Show that was,
and EastEnders.
McCallum was recommended to us. Apparently, it's like really dark or something. If I remember correctly.
Great.
It's like a really dark show.
It's only 2 seasons.
It's also not sci-fi, if I remember correctly, so not watching that for inevitable. Or it's not supernatural in any way. If I remember correctly, which I very well may not.
I don't know. So that's Lisa Bowerman.
I looked up Anthony Ainley. I don't think we looked up Roger Delgado when we watched the Daemons, if I remember correctly, which again I very well may not.
We didn't.
But anyway, looked up Anthony Ainley. Obviously plays the Master, and that's one of his bigger roles. But he's been acting since. Well, it looks like his earliest credit is an uncredited role as a child in the early 40s, but it looks like he really started in the mid 60s. He was in It's Dark Outside. Oh, hey, he was in You Only Live Twice, uncredited, as a policeman. He was in
nice.
The Avengers, Department S, Whodunit, Doomwatch, The Blood on Satan's Claw sounds edgy enough for me to be interested in it. Spider's Web. He was in the Pallisers. I don't know what that is. I guess it's just a name, like it's a name of a family or something, which is the name of the show. Nicholas Nickleby, which sounds familiar for some reason. And then, The Master, I guess, was one of his later roles, one of his last ones. And, he died in 2004. And, he's pretty much stopped acting, it looks like, in the late 80s, which is why The Master is one of his last roles. Actually, yeah.
I thought you were going to say he stopped acting in 2004.
No, he stopped. It looks like the only role he had after this, actually, so Survival is his second to last thing. The last thing was Doctor Who Destiny of the Doctors video game in 1997.
Yeah, I think I saw that on his TARDIS wiki page. Let's see, I looked up, I guess at the end here, Julian Holloway. He voices Almec, or Prime Minister Almec, on the Star Wars, The Clone Wars, the animated TV show.
Wait, who did he play here?
He played Patterson.
Okay, gotcha.
He also does voices for the regular show, the 2009 A Christmas Carol, Diablo 3 and Star Wars The Old Republic, The Avengers and the New Avengers, Casualty. I seem to remember seeing The Bill, Zed. I'm pretty sure I saw Zed Cars in here, but I didn't. Oh, yeah, there's Zed Cars. And then a bunch of TV miniseries in the 70s. Harriet's Back in Town, Conjugal Rights, The Edwardians. Just a bunch of little-known TV shows, it looks like, and that's it. I mean, he's been in a lot, but a lot of it is kind of small, like I said, miniseries or other series. He was in the James Bond Jr. TV series, apparently, as well as a narrator for an episode of Beverly Hills 90210, so there you go. And a TV show called Where's Waldo? The Animated Adventures of Waldo and His Friends from the Where's Waldo book series. Neat. All right, well, that's all for me, the actors.
Yeah, I didn't look up any other actors, so that's it.
Yeah. So I'm on Michelle Martin's IMDb.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot you were taking. I forgot you pitched in, Steven, for this.
Oh, no worries. So I'm on Michelle Martin's IMDb page. She's the one who played the neighbor we mentioned, who shows up at the end randomly. She doesn't have a lot of different titles on here, so I'll just go through all of them real quick. So 1970, she was in an episode of Biography. 78, she was in 5 episodes of The Clifton House Mystery as a character named Emily. She was in something called The Changeling in 1980. Your Ticket is No Longer Valid, 1981. From 82 to 83, she was in Angels for 64 episodes as a character named Janet Dixon. According to Wikipedia, Angels was once described as the Z cars of nursing.
Woo, exciting!
Thrilling.
1984, she was in Top Secret. 85, she was in an episode of Seeing Things. 1989, she was in an episode of Doctor Who Survival Part 3 as the name. No.
Wow.
Would you look at that?
1990, an episode of Perfect Scoundrels. 95, Pictures of Baby Jane Doe. And her last acting credit on here is in an episode of The Bill in 2001. So, yeah, I guess nothing since like 20 years ago for some reason.
Thanks for doing that a lot better than we actually do it ever and have ever done it, Steven.
Well, that's because we end up with actors with 60 acting credits, and we try to only pick the ones we recognize and do an even bad job at that, so.
Woo! Trust your doctor! Woo!
Greatest podcast ever.
Filmed before a live studio audience.
Zero.
We wish. We wish. Let's see. Well, I've got no emails this week, actually, so no emails.
There's a little bit of a survival discussion, I guess. I posted on online about watching Survival, and got a little bit of some comments there on Twitter here. So Zoe's Feather Boa, at Zoe's Feather Boa on Twitter,
amazing,
says about Survival, I appreciate it far more now the bitterness of it being the final story has gone. At Octarock says, probably my favorite story in season 26 until I finally give in and learn to love Ghostlight.
Doctor the Seventh, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love Ghostlight.
Mm-hmm.
The name of my next blog post.
Yeah, we still have a blog. Forgot about that, but we still do. Link it in the show notes.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I didn't even think about it till I saw this tweet, because I did see this tweet, that, yeah, maybe some people rated this lower when they watched it originally because they knew it was the final episode of Doctor Who and were bitter about that, and so had difficulty judging the story on its own kind of merit. Mm-hmm. So that might explain why maybe Survival has been slightly reappraised for the better in the years since.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of compare it to how I feel about like this one episode of Community. So like a few different times, like Community was like canceled or almost canceled, and then season 4 had like a really lackluster finale, in my opinion. Like it was just this paintball game that was very inconsequential because of how like the premise ends up being. Like, I won't spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it, but if that had been the final episode of Community, like, ever, I would have been, like, super pissed. But thankfully, it got 2 more seasons after that and had an actually great series finale.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah, I can't really comment since I've never seen it, but...
Neither have I.
Yeah, their equivalent of Doctor Who in that show is Inspector Spacetime, and Matt Lucas, who would later play Nardole, plays an Inspector Spacetime fan.
Nice.
Well, I guess on that note, I don't actually have anything else to say. So if nobody else has anything else to say, then Steven, where can we find you online?
Well, that was a very good question, Dylan. So you can find...
Was it? Wow. I'm shocked. I asked a good question. Wow.
Right. So you can find one of the podcasts that I do is called Delayed Replay. You can find it on multiple podcatchers. The main place is Anchor, and it just distributes to various platforms from there. And I just had like Dylan and Keon on the episodes covering the fourth Matrix movie, which I guess we called Mafortrix.
Yeah,
and
Mafortrix.
John Wick Chapter 4. So I think the former will be out like the day before this episode goes out, and the latter will come out like several days after. So
Nice.
basically it takes place in a universe where like the movies that got delayed came out on time, and we like recap and review them and make stuff up on the spot. So like there've been the recent episodes, for example, have been Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, Space Jam 2 if it had come out in 1999, like kind of experimented with that, and Spy Jam as well. That was partially inspired by like Keon's joke from like last year of like Space Jam 2 with a memory racing feature at the end. And you can also find, well, basically all the things I'm on. Like if you go to my Facebook page, Steven Shinder's Storytelling, chances are I'll like send links of like what I'm up to like through that page. Like I'm on a podcast called Star Trek Culture that's on a break at the moment. And I've been doing like recording a podcast with my dad about the progressive rock band Yes. I'm not sure if I can say the name here, but it's like, okay, so
I'll link it in the show notes.
Yeah, okay. I was just gonna say you get the words yes and the word hit, but instead of the space between, like it's another letter S. So yeah, I don't know. Edit that how you want, but yeah, like it's not out yet. I don't know when it'll be out, but keep an eye out for that. And you can follow me at Steven Shinder on Twitter and Instagram. And you can find my fantasy horror comedy novel, Lemons Like Rain. It's on Amazon, and more info on stevenshinder.com. And I really am trying to get the next book finished, like in the near future. Like, yeah, so keep an eye out for that. And yeah, I think that's pretty much all my stuff. And I'll just want to say before we like go like get off the air or whatever, that like trust your doctor was like one of the things in like early 2020 that kind of inspired me to like want to get back into podcasting after like a while. And so yeah, like I don't know, like I guess I'm gonna have to like watch Children of the Stones and whatever else I haven't watched that you guys have discussed, like Blake 7, to get my weekly helping of vegetables, I guess. So yeah, ever grateful for all the hilarious discussions.
Well, thanks, Stephen. That means a lot. Not, I shouldn't have said actually, but like, yeah.
Yeah, as if you're being sarcastic.
No, but yeah, for real. Like, thank you.
Yeah, really, thank you. I appreciate that.
And thank you for being on this episode.
Yeah, and thank you for being on and always being a loyal fan and always being around to listen and respond and be a fan. So
yeah, soon we'll see like a division between new Tide fans and classic Tide fans, but you know, that's just how it goes sometimes.
We'll see. But in the meantime, we have but one episode left before the hiatus. This was originally going to be the final episode, but we have postponed it for 1 week to do something that hopefully will lead to lots of laughs and enjoyment as a concluding episode. But until then, if you would like to email us, you can reach us at thedoctor@decadavegetable.com. Questions, comments, concerns, angry rants, love letters, your thoughts on survival and the air zone solution. You can Find us on YouTube at Decorative Vegetable. You can find us anywhere you find podcasts at Trust Your Doctor. Be sure to leave a rating if you like the show. And thank you, Stephen, for being on. And I forgot to mention this, but I'll link all of Stephen's stuff in the show notes, so you can just go there and click the links and find everything.
Check us out on Facebook, Trust Your Doctor. Like us on Facebook. Also check us out on Twitter at TYDcast and follow us on Twitter. And yeah, like Dylan said, thanks again for being on, Stephen. And next time, we're going to be watching, also as Dylan said, the Air Zone Solution. But until then, the end.